Welcome aboard Skylark Outdoors, and today we're going to review the Monterey 378 SS or Super Sport, which we've got right here, and take you on a tour of the Monterey 378 Super Sport boat. So you can see this boat prioritizes seating and a day boat layout. There is a ton of seating and space in the aft of this boat, and then that rear seat can convert for a seating lounge area, or you can flip that pillow over there at the top and have more of a lay down area. But I like how open this is. It allows for circulation. Your guests aren't going to feel too cramped. And then you've got a double or maybe even a triple captain's chair there. And then you've got a 1.5 or 2-person seat on the port side there as well. On the dual console. So this is laid out like a dual console boat, but it does have plenty of seating both in the aft of the boat or the stern of the boat and in the bow. And then you've got a little drink station right there, as well as a sink underneath. You've got your cooler, freezer, and another sink there on the port side of the dual console. And then you can see this lovely layout in the front here with bolsters, so you could stand or sit on this. And then you've got Mercury controls, a joystick control, so that's going to make this thing a breeze to park, as well as you do have a bow thruster on this, and then you're going to have whatever you want for electronics there. They've got SIMRAD on these, so that's a nice accoutrement to this, as well as all the Mercury controls that are going to make this really easy to get in and out of the dock and get it wherever you want to have it. And then you've got some storage on that other side of the console, as well as refrigerator, icebox area, and then your little hand sink or entertaining sink. And what I do like there is those little holes there, those fit a bottle of wine or a bottle of liquor kind of perfectly, so that you can travel with those things upright, which I really like. And then what's interesting about this is that it has kind of you've got a head on one side of this that's an enclosed head, and then on the other side you have a little cabin space. So over here you can see we've got our fully enclosed head here that you can use in privacy, plenty of window space, so I like that you've got that head. And then on the other side you've got a little cabin here, so you could definitely fit 2 people in here, do kind of an overnight thing, or if you just want to relax. Any more than that, it would be tight here, but it is nice. You got a little microwave, toaster oven kind of thing. You've got a nice berth there in the back, and then you've also got the couch, so maybe you could fit 3. But it is a fairly decent size space for what you've got here, and a little bit of storage, a TV. So perfect for spending the night or a weekend on board. And then if it were me, I'd probably just go out to eat. And then you've got a little refrigerator in there as well as and all your controls. So this is a great boat if you want to entertain a lot, because there is just a ton of room on this boat for the size of boat it is. At 37 feet, there's a ton of room in the bow. There's a ton of room in the rear. You've got the whole swim platform. So in my mind, this is the perfect day boat. You've got the enclosed head for when people need that. You've got plenty of shade in the rear. You can close this thing up with isinglass if you want. You can see they've got the isinglass taken down, but you could even use this kind of in the early season or late season, just because of how it is created, where you can have kind of an isolated area to keep you out of the wind. And then if you want to stay overnight, you definitely could for a weekend or a couple days. I wouldn't consider it a liveaboard on type boat, but a great boat for entertaining with the flexibility to be like, hey, I'm just going to spend the night if you wanted to, or maybe go on a weekend trip to whatever island you want to go to, whatever coastal city you want to go to that is away from your home harbor. So we're going to go into some of the specifications now on this boat. This is 37 feet long. You've got an 11-foot wide beam, so it is a fairly beamy boat. And then you've got a 200-gallon fuel capacity. Now, as far as performance goes with this, you're looking at a 48 to 52 mile an hour top speed on this, and then it cruises at 34 miles per hour and 27 gallons per hour. So that gives us an approximate range of 230 to 250 miles. You've got a 21-degree dead rise. You've got a 200-gallon fuel capacity. You've got a 1,040 horsepower max, and you've got a 26-inch draft with the drive up, and a 30-inch or 38-inch draft with the drive down. So kind of a deep draft there if you've got to have that stern drive down to maneuver. And then you've got 49 gallons of water, 28 gallons of waste, a 6'2" cabin headroom, 10'3" bridge clearance, and then a dry weight of 16,000 pounds. So at that weight, you're not going to be towing this very much or very far. At something that weighs that much and is that beamy and the length, and then the 10'3" bridge clearance, because you're on a trailer, you would need to be a little bit more careful. Me personally, I would think this is a little bit more difficult boat to tow, as well as the size vehicle you're going to need to tow it when you've got a trailer as well, which would probably weigh in 3,500 pounds, maybe 4,000 pounds with the trailer. So you're looking at like 20,000 pounds total for this boat. You can do it, but I wouldn't want to do it that often. And that's just me. Some of you are more ambitious than I am. Now, in terms of power plants, you've got twin 8.2 mag MPI Axis engines. So these are Mercruiser mag MPI engines and 8.2 big block V8 displacement engine. So a lot of displacement there. That's a big engine, but still gas, not diesel. I do like the big block engines, even though they're Mercruiser. That is typically a Chevy engine. There are a lot of compatible components. Now, you're not supposed to use them on a boat in some cases. Some you can, some can't. You can't, just because of the construction of them or how they're treated, the coating, or in terms of how they're sealed up and rated and reliability and all that. However, it does help overall longevity and just parts availability. If you're in a pinch somewhere, that having Chevy engines and Mercruiser engines, if something breaks, it's going to be a little bit easier than some of the more exotic stuff. Now, this is inboard engines with stern drives. You're going to see similar sized boats. A lot of them have outboards. I've had similar boats to this with the stern drives, and the Bravo drives is what this has on them, the Bravo 3 drives. Now, the Bravo 3 drives give you a lot of power, especially for a big boat. They're a dual counter-rotating prop on each drive, so that means you have 4 props on there. Now, the only downfall of that is if you hit the drive with something, if you wear these out, or if you're in salt water, when you have to replace a drive, these things are not cheap just because of the counter rotation and all the gearing that goes on in there. You'll see these, the Bravo 3, when you compare them to just a single prop style engine or out drive, that these are going to be about twice as much just in general. And they're big drives or heavy drives takes a little bit more work than what you would consider like an Alpha drive or just a regular Bravo drive. The Bravo 3s are much larger, but just something to be aware of if you are getting these great drives in terms of performance and power. The only thing you have to be aware of is if something does happen, they're a little bit more pricey, but a lot of things on boats are pricey, and you could just as easily ruin an outboard lower unit as well. Now, the other thing that sometimes when I'm looking at a boat like this and looking at stern drives versus outboards is that stern drives, in my experience, while they can be great engines, especially the Mercruisers and the MPIs, it's a technology that's been around for a long time, tested. There's not a lot going on there. The engines themselves run really well and have a lot of longevity as long as you make sure that you change the oil in regular intervals and just take care of them. But the downside is when you have to do something, sometimes you got to pull those out, and access can be an issue when you've got 2 large block V8s inside of a compartment. Just working on them is much more difficult. And while you may not be working on them, that does translate into time, money, and energy at the marina. If you're a boat mechanic, do you want to be down in the bilge in 100 degrees, just kind of squished in there, getting an engine out, reaching for a mount, replacing a starter? Or would you rather be on the back of the boat, replacing an outboard engine, part where everything's exposed, and you can do it pretty easily. So those are just considerations, but in terms of when you're looking at this, it does seem like anymore that the balance in terms of pricing favors the inboard engines if you're buying it. They're typically a little bit at lower price, but you are going to have a lower resale value. So if you're okay with the depreciation, or maybe you buy one of these after it's depreciated a couple of years old, you're going to find a lot of great value for the size of boat and what you're getting, versus if you had outboards mounted on a similar size boat with this layout, and you get a larger layout and a nice swim platform because of how the inboard power is underneath the deck, versus the outboards are going to take up a fair amount of room on the stern of the boat. Kind of eliminates a swim platform in most cases. So just something to be aware of. There's pros and cons to anything, but I would say you could pick one of these up new. But if you pick one up used, just looking on the market here, they've got some good resale value for what you're getting out of the boat. If you are looking for a day boat where you want to entertain a lot of people, I would consider this as an option. Nice, solid, big boat with a great layout. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.